Hello everyone, welcome to Property Experts, where we provide you information related to property in a sensible manner. Hence, before purchasing property worth lakhs and crores of rupees, please do watch our videos to never fall in any sort of a scam or a fraud. Well, the transfer of property is done by the act of parties or by operation of law. Usually it is most of the property transactions that we see are done by the contractual act of the parties, which is governed by the Transport Property Act. So the Transfer of Property Act covers 5 types of transfers, which is sale, lease, exchange, gift and mortgage. Now, sale is the most common type of transfer where the property ownership of the property is absolutely transferred from the main owner to the other. Now, this is the other document that requires to be compulsorily registered under law. Now, lease can be either by way of a registered document or by way of an unregistered document. As per the Transfer Property Act, if it is a lease exceeding 1 year, then it has to be compulsorily registered. Now we see standard sentiment in the market is that if you are doing a residential lease, which is usually called as a rental agreement, so it is done for 11 months. So this is mainly to avoid the process of registration. So whether it is a residential property or a commercial, to be compulsorily registered again, each state may have its own laws, because there are some states which require all leases to be mandatory registered. So before taking a decision on whether it is registerable or not, we will need to examine the perspective state law. Mortgage is a document which is done to create a charge or an encumbrance on the property, and we will come across mortgage documents where a property is offered as security for a loan which is obtained by the owner. Again, within mortgage there are different banking transactions, but it can also be seen or done between two private individuals or parties. A gift is a transaction where a property is transferred by the owner, who is also called a donor, in favor of another person, the recipient, who is called as the donee. And the characteristic feature of a gift which distinguishes it from other types of transfer is that it is done without any monetary consideration, whereas for the other types of transfers which are governed under the Transport Property Act, under any other law, like whether it is a sale, it has to be backed by a consideration, offer and acceptance, whereas a gift is a transaction which is done without any monetary consideration, and usually it is a method adopted to transfer the property within the family in order to avoid disputes. And if a gift is done within the family and members, from the stamp duty is nominal. Again, stamp duty is a state object and it may differ from state to state. So it is advisable to ascertain what is the applicable stamp duty in a particular state. It could also differ from city to city. Situated from a municipal corporation jurisdiction may attract a higher stamp duty, and property situated in a tier 2 city or in a village could attract a lower stamp duty. These are the granular details which people will have to ascertain before completing a transaction. But a gift, in order to be valid, has to be recorded in writing and it has to be registered, except in the case Muslims, where under the Muslim law an oral gift is also valid and acceptable. Now, apart from this, we can also see that there is another type of transfer which is under the transfer a mobile property, such as I can choose to transfer my immobile property in favor of my friend and can take a fancy car, or that take shares in return for that, so long that is also necessary that the value of both the transactions should be the same, or both the properties which form part of that transaction should be the same. But the stamp duty for exchange rate will be not determined based on the higher of two values, property versus property B, whereas which has the higher value on that stamp determined. That again, these stamp duty registration are all state subjects, and one needs to understand the applicable duties in the particular state. Apart from this, there are two other ways of transferring property, which could be by operation of law, such as by inheritance. If a person dies without making a will, then the property will be transferred in favor of the legal heirs by the operation of law. That is the law of succession, and that again will depend on the personal law applicable on the parties. Hindus are governed by the Hindu Succession Act. We'll have the Indian Succession Act, which Christians and other communities, and we the Muslims, have the Muslim personal law. So depending on the law that is applicable to the concerned person and the family, we will be able to ascertain that how the devolution of the property by where succession will take place. And there are many other means of transfer by way of operation of law, such as in case of a company, you could do it by way of a merger or a business transfer asset. There is another way of transferring the property, which is also by a will, but it will take to come into effect only after the lifetime of the person who is making the will. And there is one other way of transfer, but which is more by the way of compulsory transfer, and that is where a government may acquire the property, or there could be instances where a person is required to relinquish a property in favor of a government authority or for a statutory authority. And there are again stemming from certain laws where there is compulsory acquisition. The government has to determine a compensation which is commensurate with the market value of the property or slightly higher. The acquisition is done under and through the process of law after completing the steps for the acquisition and payment of compensation. The government can take over the property, so this compulsory transfer will come into effect only where the government is choosing to acquire the property. But there could also be instances where the government transfers the property in favor of certain people, and these are called statutory grants. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you have learned about a lot of things in this video. Do watch all our stuff so that you have no doubt regarding property. Thank you.
Property related help, please contact us. Thank you.